Hey everybody, this is Michael Ward of Genesis Revolutions the Movement, and we got AJ Jackson, one of my dear friends who is doing some serious and has done some serious work in Hollywood, and God uh, drew you out. Jackson, how you doing today?
I'm doing good today.
You having a good day?
I am.
I'm having
Always
a
having a
good
good
day
day.
too. But the way that God brought us together, we want to kind of share that. But the emphasis of this segment, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about how to know the voice of God, but through our experience. But secondly, we're going to talk about Hollywood and all that Hollywood touches, right?
Exactly.
Because Hollywood, God created film and cinema, television, theater. That's all God's idea. And AJ's background, what is your background?
My background is not just in entertainment, finance, technology as well, and a little military experience. Right.
Just a bomb.
Starting as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always had dreams as a child. A lot of people didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
No one really paid attention was my dad and my grandmother.
Yeah.
But when it came to dreams, I would tell them exactly what I saw in my dream. What I visioned sometimes was something that was just about to happen. And that's what happened when I dreamt about you.
We're going to get into that in just a moment, but this every time I talk to this woman, I start spitting my words out and I start tripping up because she's so exciting. But I want to go into the segment of how we actually met and how God orchestrated this day to the point where we're now sitting opposite each other. So we met on a set called what was it called?
It starts
The
with
Black
you.
Male Birthright.
The Black Male Birthright.
Okay.
It starts with you with
Yeah.
Peach Southern Entertainment Production.
Exactly. With what was her name again?
Stephanie Cunningham and her daughter Danielle.
So on this particular day, before we actually had met, it was AJ's job to do the credits, right?
Do the credits and edit.
Okay. And she was in the corner just going away, standing up, doing her thing. And I was talking to somebody else, and she overhears conversation about God. Comes over to me, and you say, what? All up in my business, but what?
I said, so you're a believer. You believe there's one God. And you said, well, yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody? I said, no.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And from that, to break a lot of conversation short, we exchanged numbers, got together, I think maybe 2 weeks later, and
Oh, we did a thing.
why God allowed some things to be delayed, I don't know how she kept certain things to herself, but after we met, she approached me one day in the evening and started to share some dreams with me.
Yeah.
And what were those? I mean, tell me both dreams before we go to the next segment.
The
How?
dream was about the dreams of your eyes again, but then also what I had originally saw was the words that were on your forehead. When I was told in my dream, and I was told, you must finish what I've started here. This is the person that you must help. And I said, okay, but what am I going to do? Because I've been praying about all this knowledge God blessed me with.
5 years before she meets
5
me.
years. I've been blessed. Okay, God, you embedded me with all this knowledge and his gifts to help people. Where are the people? And then he said, this is the person that's going to lead you to the people. You must help this person get it started. And I said, okay, where's the person at? How am I going to? And I went right back to sleep. When I woke up the second time, then I saw the word in reverse, Genesis, that were actually on your forehead. Before it was just your eyes. So when I saw you at the shoot, I had to take 2 takes and look back and make sure, is that the same eyes I saw in my dream? And then I heard your voice. For some reason, when God was speaking to me in my dream, I heard his voice and your voice. But it was the way you said, Jesus. That caught my attention. That's it. I knew I was supposed to say something to you that day.
Now, never told me.
Yeah.
So from that, it takes a lot to get my attention. I don't just let anyone speak into my life. And when you start speaking into a person's life, I equate it to a surgeon working on a body.
Right.
So I just don't let anyone cut on me.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned the thing about the forehead, I thought about how it was spelled backwards.
Yeah.
Because we in America, in our English language, we read from right to left.
Yeah. And the original language is
It's
from left to right.
And so I think that's why Genesis was backwards, because
Right.
God was actually making things correct. And so when you would sit on my head or whatever. So anyway, now that she has my attention, uh, God continued with some other very significant dreams. I then realized that, okay, God sent her and she immediately went to work and got Genesis Incorporated to what?
So not only a nonprofit, but licensed as a profit, not only business, church, but ministry that is educating people worldwide, not just here in the United States.
Exactly. Which is the vision that God gave many, many years ago. Now, we're saying this because the importance of knowing when God is moving, God is working behind the scenes.
Right.
He's giving people dreams about the destiny that he put in you. And when she came, as well as others came, it was peace. That's comforting to me.
Right.
Because I've always felt alone.
But it's making your job easier.
Easier,
Right.
more pleasant, but still I have my times where I'm like, God, does anybody get me?
And yeah,
Or get you and me?
I think we all have those times.
Yeah, but those that really represents forward walking with God in the territories that we've never been before.
Right.
We've never been here before.
Right.
What's about to happen in Hollywood that we're now about to talk about, it's never happened before.
No.
And so one of the elements, one of the emphasis that God has put upon my heart is the media,
Right.
the media outlet in Hollywood. And one of the first dreams that I've had was about an old television. I never told you this, an old television in the middle of a wheat field.
Ah.
And that was God saying, son, you're going to harvest going all the way back
Okay.
to when television was real old in its infancy. Whenever God is about to bring in a harvest in, he goes way back
To the beginning.
to the beginning.
Yeah.
And so this is something that's of a real big deal here. Now, I want to bring you in on this note about, because give me a little bit of background, or us, I know your background, a little bit about film and television. Give us a little bit about that before we
Well,
go into back to Genesis and about this really got hovering.
I started in commercials as a child, doing Pepsi commercial, things like that. It was my voice in the background. Then I started on radio. I also have my own television show on the East Coast. It was called CORE, the Community Organization, Recreation, and Entertainment. And it came on television right after Soul Train, every Saturday. So for 3 years in Kentucky, the show was on the air. So when I decided at 8 years old, I'm going to tell my mom, I'm going to work with that artist, this artist, that artist. Because by the time I get an adult, they're going to need me. And my mother laughed about it. Now I've worked with every one of those artists I told her I was going to work with.
Yeah.
You know, so I was, I guess you would say, prophesizing at 8 about things that were coming, not just in the dreams.
Yes.
But the next thing that happened from there was coming to California and taking over a show called Showtime West Coast Theater.
Mm-hmm.
In a period of 7 years, 100 artists got signed, 75 of them went to the top of the charts. Okay? And I was selecting all the artists myself, working out the deals with the record company. So that allowed us to be able to pick the right people who we knew were going to stay there for a long time, that made an impact. But the most important part of what we were doing was we was giving them a combination of shows they had never seen before, unless you went to one of Al Heyman's shows or at a jazz festival. Then you would see that. So our productions were unique and different. But when I first started, all the major labels thought I was competing against them because I was developing the actual artists. And then Motown said,
You were,
no.
but in a new way.
I was beginning something they had never seen done before. And Motown said, no, she's just doing what we're doing. She's getting the artists ready, so when they finish production, all you got to do is sign them. So fortunately, they became one of our sponsors. Okay, so that was a good thing. But through that period of production, what we allowed to help happen and bring out was rap music, not the rap music you hear now, but the hip hop.
Give us a few other people that you got.
Well,
your hand.
EPMD,
Yeah.
Criss Cross, Allison Williams, Times 3, Tupac. Okay, re-signing Vanessa and Vesta Williams. Okay.
I like to talk about Busta too.
And then, of course, Busta Ryme was working with us. He was actually cleaning floors, getting to know the staff and the judges who were actually the actual A&R and representative who could actually sign your record deal. That's who the judges were at our shows. So a lot of the artists that came through our show, even Brownstone, were not really ready when they first showed up on the scene to actually come and audition.
Yeah.
So it took them time. And our show consisted of winning a monthly show for a period of 3 months. By the end of the year, all the winners competed each other for a record deal.
What I liked about, before we change and turn the corner again, when I hear, as I've heard this story, my ear is designed to hear what you were doing. You were ahead of the time.
Exactly.
But you were preserved from then to now, because many people like myself would have thought, dude, she should be running a this, that conglomerate.
Right.
But God had you preserved for a specific time,
Right.
because God brought you into the situation where you have a company called Paradigm.
Right. Paradigm Records and Distribution Corporation.
Exactly. And I've said to AJ, he wants me to say it like this. The way I'm going to implement music in Genesis in my meetings will be like what you've never seen. I've literally had dreams of seeing the top rock artists in my audience.
Ah, okay.
I've seen Bruce Springsteen, I've seen them.
Okay.
I'm like, Lord, he said, son, the way I'm going to do music through Genesis, it's going to draw them. Now, this is where you come in, and I told you this before. Now, I'm giving a prophetic word. Many of these artists will come and lay their contracts down,
Right.
and AJ is going to rewrite them.
Yes, that's what I did for all the artists that we did get signed.
So that was preparation.
Yes. Preparing for now. This is what we call
Preparing
the
for now.
second time around.
Exactly.
Second time around to get everything ready. Not just film, because we worked on Poetic Justice, White Man Can Jump. We worked with Robert Downey Jr. and B.B. King on the Ghost film.
Yeah.
We worked on 7 different films, including these artists into their actual production for the film.
God says to Adam, I want to tie something now in prophetically to Hollywood now. Because when God made the earth and the fullness thereof, I believe he also created certain territories in the earth to produce certain things.
Yes.
Okay? So Adam's territory was to produce what was produced in his garden.
Right.
And we don't know how, that territory was in the east, and the Spirit of God hovered
Yeah.
over that territory. And I'm a very visual guy. I imagine the Spirit of God just trickling down in the soil and producing this stuff, this fruit for Adam
Right.
and his seed that was like no other that we've ever known about. So he said, son, now I want you to look at what Adam didn't have to contend with, that your people in your territories have contended with. So I started thinking, man, God, Hollywood is a territory.
Yes. The media.
The media is a territory.
Yes.
Music is a territory that has not cultivated your plan and your vision and your fruit
And business.
and the business of it, because they have contended and kept the Spirit of God from hovering over it.
Right.
This is what's getting ready to happen in music, in Hollywood.
Yes.
To do what? Start producing the harvest that God intended.
And changing the direction of everything that's being produced.
Back to its
Exactly.
Genesis. So God kept you, brought you in this time, though you may not have complied with it all the way to
Right,
the, you know,
right.
because we struggle. Like
Oh,
men,
yes,
'cause we don't
definitely.
understand.
Yeah.
Like my sister Crystalline, she beautiful woman, but she's